Okay, so this is the finals of the World Combat Championship that happened back on October 17th of 1995. And here we have a classic grappler versus striker matchup. Now, Renzo Gracie, he had won the grappling division. In the opening round, he beat a judoka, a judo player, and then in the second round, he beat a wrestler. And then James Waring, the boxer, he had won the striking division. He beat a Savate guy, which is a form of French kickboxing. He beat him in the opening round. And then he went on to fight Eric Paulson, this guy with long blonde hair. And that's up on my YouTube channel. And he grabbed a hold of his hair and just pounded him. And now it's Renzo Gracie from Gracie Jiu-Jitsu versus James Waring, who's a boxer. Here we go. So a few things were kind of interesting about this. First of all, like I said, they had a grappling division, and a striking division, and they meet in the end. And also, they allowed you. Nobody was wearing gloves, and they didn't have any limit on the amount of tape you were wearing on your hands or feet. So everybody, their hands and feet were taped up to the point where they were like, woodworking mallets or whatever. You know what I mean? So, and man, this announcer, he's really something, isn't he? And here's Renzo, from 30 years ago, and he'd caught a little flack earlier in the night because the first guy he fought, the judo player, he took him down and took his back and elbowed him and stuff. But then after he won, I think he choked him. After he won, he stepped on the judo guy's head as he was leaving the octagon or whatever. And nobody liked that. You're allowed to elbow the guy, but show some respect, And then he went on after that. He helped up the wrestler guy, and this guy beat Jerome Turcan, the Savate, guy, and then he went on to fight Eric Paulson, who technically was a grappler, I guess, but was in the striking division for some reason, and then paid a terrible price for having long hair. Like, just look at his hands all taped up. If your hands are taped up like that, man, you are, I think there was a pretty big weight difference here too. So, and when a guy's hands are taped up like that, man, Jesus, they can hit you, Look at that. That's the same tape. So anyway, you can see Renzo here. He doesn't want to get clocked by the dude, the giant dude with the taped hands. So he's keeping a bit of a distance. And unlike sportive jiu-jitsu, where it's just grappler versus grappler, when you have this going on, it's about closing the distance without getting hit. And it's an art unto itself. And it's funny, you see over the years the Gracies do it in different ways. Like Hoist had kind of a kick thing he used to kind of close the distance. He'd kick you and you'd kind of block the kick and he'd come in. And Hickson, he would match your stance and he would use his lead hand to grab your jabbing hand. And then he would just move in, And then Half, he would just come in like a pit bull, which was his nickname, swinging punches. And Renzo, you see, he's shooting from a distance there, He did take one in the dome, but it's funny how, while on the ground, there was kind of like, here's what's going to happen. There were some differences between one Gracie and another or whatever, but how they managed to close the distance on each of their opponents was different from one to the next. I always found that kind of interesting, And of course, that is I don't know if it's a lost art, but it's something that people don't practice anymore. In sportive jiu-jitsu, there's no need to, maybe if you're shooting a double leg, you don't want to get sprawled on you or whatever. Oh, you see, look, Renzo's mounted now, And in mixed martial arts, nobody closes the distance anymore. They're like, I'm going to punch and kick you, and then I'm going to out-grapple you standing, and then on the ground, I'm going to choke you. I'm better than you in all spots, But here, this was years ago. What, 30, 29 years ago? And the guy on the bottom, he's a boxer. He doesn't know how to escape this stuff, and he's trying to roll around and whatever, but, as someone that doesn't know any grappling, once you have, and bear in mind, Renzo's I think he'd won the Brazilian nationals once or twice. I don't know. He was no joke. He was no joke of a grappler. Still isn't, obviously. And, the guy on the bottom, he doesn't know how to get away. He's just is trying to, keep Renzo close so he can't, unload punches on his face, But Renzo, you can see I think they have 10 minutes on the ground. Each division had different time limits about how much time you're allowed to have on the ground. And I think the grapplers had 10 minutes, But here you can see he's started to unload. Yep. And now with the fence up above him like that, You know, I don't think they had a rule here about whether or not you could grab the fence either. So if Renzo needed to, he could grab the fence, I think. But, you know, it's funny, these early events, a lot of them didn't have the rules that exist today. And the rules that exist today are because of stuff that happened in events like this years ago, you know? Oh, is that it? Oh, look at that. Oh, you got him in a neck crank. There you go. Ho-ha! There you go. Yep. There you go. Yep. I think that's Carlos Gracie Jr. There, the guy that gave me my black belt years ago. That guy there in the white shirt. I think that's Carlos Gracie Jr., who now runs the IBJJF and has, you know. Yep. There you go. And there's Cecil Peoples. You know. Referee Cecil Peoples raising Renzo Gracie's hand. But so you can see from a distance here, Renzo just shoots in from a distance. He gets cracked on the head once by the taped-up hammer fist, you know. And then, you know, James Waring, I mean, he's a good boxer, but he doesn't have a guard, you know. He can't upkick. Renzo's already beyond that, you know. Like, I think Renzo might be doing an Ezekiel here. You can see he's tapping with his left hand. I think he was doing a no-gi Ezekiel, and now Renzo is helping him. But he's like, I'll help him up. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to step on this guy's head. You know, let me show you what a good sport I am, you know. I've met Renzo a couple of times. He's a nice guy. I met him in like 2007 here in Vancouver, and then I met him years later in New Jersey, and he remembered my name. He was like, oh, hey, Jeff, how you doing? And I was like, whoa, that's impressive. Yep. Anyway, so is that Hyan? Is that Hyan Gracie with him there? I think it is. That's Carlos Gracie behind him. You know? There you go. Anyway, so that's the finals of the World Combat Championship, you know? Yeah. This announcer, man. I've announced some mixed martial arts events myself, and it wasn't like this guy, you know? Yep. There you go. Anyway. Yep.